Hey, Doug.
Hey, what's happening?
How are you? Oh my God. I just realized I haven't seen you in forever. Like we haven't even talked since before the holidays. And I mean, we've talked on Slack because we're a couple of slackers, but
Yeah,
um we haven't done a video chat in I don't even know how long. How are you?
I'm doing really good, thanks. I am just trying to stay warm. It's really cold here, and I don't know. Good morning. Just got up early. I found like um, probably 20 LPs, albums, vinyl. Uh, what day before yesterday? I think.
Oh yeah.
Hey, cool
I
background.
didn't even realize I had my camera on, but I didn't have it on Zoom.
And well, actually, I had like this really kind of a stiff neck the other night, and my wife got me this shiatsu neck massager
Oh yeah.
for Christmas, like decade ago or something. And I was like,
Okay.
where's that shiatsu neck massager? And so I went down in our storage area and started thumbing through boxes, and I found the box with the shiatsu massager in it, opened it up, and there's like 20 albums that I've been looking for
Oh wow.
in the same box. So I went upstairs and started listening, and I had like Triumph and Rush and
Wow.
SRV
Yeah, I
and
wondered where that story was going, but it's funny.
and so what was the point?
Well, you were I don't know, you were telling me about listening to vinyl, which is
Oh,
great.
yeah, listening to vinyl. Oh yeah, this morning. So got up, had coffee, listening to vinyl, and yeah, I listened to a bunch of Triumph tonight or this morning on my turntable, which has been
Underrated band. I think
oh
that not enough people know or listen to Triumph.
oh yeah, Rick Emmett. He was like guitar hero. You know, he was plastered all over Guitar Player magazine. You
Yeah.
know, at the time in the late early '90s, I guess. And yeah, he was. I read worked on every tab that he posted in there, and
Nice.
couldn't get it because it was like too hard. But
So yeah, so guys, it's been so long that we've seen each other on video that I'm looking at you from a completely different room configuration.
oh yeah,
Um, how is your studio build going?
oh, it's going good. You're looking at which is my side wall right
Right,
now, and I'm
your new
facing.
panels.
Yeah, well, these are old. I built these.
Oh, those are the ones you built. Got it.
Yep, and they used to be a different color though. I reskinned them with
That's
black
right.
fabric,
That's
and
right.
I can't really show you around because I'm using my um, eyesight camera on my iMac. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I can like do like a little bit,
Be careful. No drastic changes in
you
the middle
know.
of the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh
So
yeah,
there's the front of the studio,
I
and
really like those. They look like barcodes.
yeah. So
If
yeah,
you're
those are some new Gig acoustic panels. And I had been wanting those for a long time, and I'm real happy with them. I had this one that's in the middle. I built that. That's
Oh,
a
you did.
quadratic diffuser.
Yeah, we never talked about that, but I always thought that was cool. I've seen those for sale online, like even through Etsy or some places. Like people make those, and you can buy them. Shipping is probably, I mean, because they're solid wood and stuff. I think shipping probably hurts, but
Yeah.
um, they're not that hard to make yourself if you're handy with a saw, right?
No, no, not at all. Actually, I've got some videos on my Twitter posted from a long time ago
Oh,
on how to build them.
oh, okay.
And it was just a short one. And over on my Facebook page, I've got a long comment in there, which goes into material lists and everything, and
Okay.
steps to build them.
I am handy and I have all this stuff, but I don't have a place to put one. So I'm going to pass on that, I think, for now.
Well, you
But
don't have a place to put acoustic panel
no, no, my walls are full.
full of acoustic
Acoustics.
treatments?
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
really have a need for a diffuser in this room.
Oh yeah, gotcha. So, and the diffuser, there's a reason they're expensive. They're a pain in the butt to build.
Yeah.
Um, each one of the individual blocks that needs to be cut specific lengths, and you'll end up with, I can't remember how many, but 20 different lengths of blocks that repeat,
Mm.
and then sanding each one and staining each one and gluing each one on, and I mean, really, like I was couldn't be done soon enough with that thing. I never want to build another one. So,
Oh, that's good to
but I'm
know
glad I
too.
have it.
Yeah. Maybe
So,
Etsy is the way to go for that.
yeah, you know, so there's a reason they're that expensive, because they're not easy to build. And
Yeah.
but I it was one of those things I put in the studio that you know how when you do something to your studio and you get an immediate audible difference,
Oh, yes,
and
I've
you're like,
had that.
oh my goodness, you know. And so that was one of those things that have added that that really made a big difference. And the new panels up front, I needed those because since I reoriented my studio,
Mhm.
I um I was getting some reflections off my front wall
Right.
behind my speakers, and that was uh, so my speakers are my mains are sealed. They don't have rear ports.
Mm.
They have uh, what do they call them? Like a bass reflex.
Yeah,
Uh,
mine are front ported, which is nice, but there's
yeah,
still sound travels behind them, and that treatment is important.
yeah. But the box itself has its own resonance, and
Mhm.
I was getting some of that off the back wall,
Yeah.
and so these gig acoustic panels. Um, they made an immediate audible difference. I was down here with my son, and he and uh, I got these up, and we were talking, and there's like, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "Wow," you know, and we're like clapping and
Yeah.
checking it out, you know, and it just immediately, you know, one step closer to anechoic, you know.
Yeah, that's a fun test, the clap test. And if you're putting up piece by piece wall treatment, you can't tell from one piece to the next, but you can certainly tell a before and after. Like if you do a clap test before you put anything on the walls, and then do a clap test after you get your walls treated, you'll be like, whoa, you play them side by side or
Yeah,
whatever. It's impressive. Um,
I like to walk around the room and do that too. It may look funny
yeah.
walking around clapping, you know, but just to listen, because it's a good test, because you can actually, you know, you move to one side of the room and the other, and you can listen to the differences, and you can get an idea of where your problem spots are that way.
Yeah, that's really important, especially if you're going to record acoustically, like if you're going to record vocals, to walk around and do that and find the sweet spot in your room to
Yeah.
do something like that.
Now, before I put anything in here, before I had any of my panels up or anything, I placed my sub in the middle of the room.
Oh
It
yeah.
was it and my amplifier, and I connected it to my phone actually, and a chair, and this chair with wheels on it,
Oh yeah.
and I put my sub in approximate center this way, and where I thought my desk was going to be,
Mhm.
and I then rolled around the room listening to sub bass and how it was, you know, and to hear
Yeah.
where it might be building up, and then repositioning my subwoofer until I got it right. You know, actually they recommend that your subwoofer is up off the ground. Um,
Right. And you
and
have those little spiky
yeah, but like, I
things.
mean, up off the ground, you know,
Oh,
like
really?
a couple feet. Yeah.
Really?
Mine
I
is
never heard
not.
that.
Yeah. And, um, but mine has got uh, the isoacoustic um, feet underneath of it. I
Right, right,
replaced
right.
the original one. They're really cool. And one of the nice things is my subwoofer used to skate around the floor a little bit.
Did
Um,
it?
and so in putting on the isoacoustics, they've got like they've got like a poly, or not polypropylene, but the black um, rubber material
Right, right.
that it's almost like a suction cup, and it the sub doesn't move anywhere, and you know, they work really well. So I got 4 of those feet on the sub,
Mhm.
and they're rated for 20 pounds a piece or something like that, you know. So
Oh,
it's um and that made actually that made a measurable difference when putting those feet on in my acoustic measurements.
because they isolate the sub
Yeah.
and make it so it doesn't transmit direct vibration.
Yeah, and so that was really cool too. So you know, those little things. There's lots of little things like that. I've got spike feet setting on concrete um,
Right.
um, plinths that my main's set on.
Yeah. I always
I
thought that was
didn't.
an
I couldn't
impressive
really
way to
tell
do
you
that.
how that was before or after, because I went from stand speakers
Mhm.
for monitors, to the floor standing speakers. But
Right.
and I went directly onto these blocks because I knew I was going to need them. So, and they're pretty cool. I actually just got some really nice looking concrete landscape blocks, and they're about
Mhm.
2 inches thick, probably 16 inches by 16 inches.
Yeah,
And
I'm sitting on a few of those. They're
okay.
holding up the the front of the shred.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, keeping it from sinking too deep into the lawn when it gets wet
And
out.
I just put felt pads underneath, and then set them on the floor, and then set up my speakers on top of those. So yeah, the shred, man. You got any plans for the shred coming into this year?
I don't. My most recent thing was upgrading my chair, which I did at the end of the year. I was over at Staples, and they just had this nice gaming chair out front
Oh
when
right.
when I was thinking about upgrading the chair anyway, because the one that I had was is a decent office chair. I think I got it at Costco. We have a couple of them, and it's fine for a couple hours at a time, but not for a 6 hour sitting session. It started making my back hurt and stuff. And so I was thinking of upgrading, but of course, as we discussed, one of the deal breakers beyond just comfort is the arms have to lift up because I'm track guitar here,
Yeah.
and if the arms don't lift up, it's out. So I mean, even some of the most like the Herman Miller, and I mean, I was looking for at decent chairs, but so many of them the arms don't lift up. Anyway,
The
so I
Herman
sat in
Millers
this
don't.
chair.
I've
No,
had like a
the Aeron,
long.
the arms don't tilt.
Really.
Yeah,
I see them
and I
come
was
up used for like for 450 every once in
yeah,
a while.
I was like ready to pull the trigger on one of those, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't if I can't track guitar, I don't care if it's the best chair in the world.
Yeah.
And so I sat and I was like, this could work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought about it for a couple days and went back, and because it was on sale in December, and so yeah, I upgraded my chair, and that was really the last piece. The next thing I think is going to be a better boom arm, so I could have a heavier mic like the Samson that we talked about last week.
Yeah. Don't
It would
touch the
not
boom arm.
it would not work on this kind of light duty boom arm, but the sound in here is good. I don't really have any more upgrades planned. My big plans for 2022 are not necessarily studio related. They're more about just process improvement, and you know keeping the business going, keeping it going better, you know.
Right on. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's my goal too, is just always looking for something to improve. But building the business, it's that's a fundamental, I think.
Yeah.
And just to continue to have good positive growth.
Yep.
And but really, I just been doing a lot of internalizing of really what it's all about. And
Mhm.
really it's just to be able to work with artists, to work with music, and those cyclical times when things get slow, I really miss the music. um
Yeah. Yeah.
and but um other than that, I think that there's a couple hardware goals for 2022 for me.
Mhm.
There's additional room acoustics goals, and
Oh,
I have a
still? I
yeah,
thought that you
I
were gonna
wanted
do clouds,
I
right?
want to do some clouds above
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
and it's not bad because I've got carpet does okay, but it doesn't do great. As
Hmm.
far as there's high frequencies and stuff just like can move right through it. But I've got a good pad underneath this carpet too, and where I'm sitting, so it does help quite a bit. And I do have clouds over to the side of me here where I just left them up. That's where my desk used to be,
Oh,
and I was
okay.
like, well, I'll just
I
leave
thought you
those
had
there.
those before.
Yeah, because they serve a purpose. I actually should add a couple more, and then probably probably 3 or 4 more in this area above me.
Mhm.
So maybe that this year. But I
Do
think
you buy those or you make those yourself?
I made these myself. The next time I do it, I'm going to buy them. So.
Was another pain in the ass project or what?
Yeah, there's seriously, it's I'm all for saving money anywhere you can, but man, the time investment. So
Yeah, time is money.
yeah.
It's like you got to do that trade-off.
So, but this desk is going to go this year if I have my way.
Oh,
And So I haven't decided on which desk, but it's going to be a mastering console desk
Nice.
with racks, a couple racks, hopefully, somewhere around 20 to 24 rack space, somewhere in that
wow.
neighborhood. And yeah, I'm filling up. I'm filling up 12 right now.
Okay. I didn't realize you had that much analog equipment so far.
Yeah, between mic pre's and channel strips and and then EQs and
You're doing the 19-inch rack mount mic pre is not the little lunchbox ones.
No, I'm doing the 19-inch. I keep, it would be nice if I already had the 500 series box.
Yeah.
For next purchases, but the outlay for the 500 series box, well, there's $1,000, and or more. One of the important things people don't maybe not necessarily think about in 500 series is that box is your power supply.
Oh,
okay. And if you don't have a good power supply and you're using a lot of 500 series modules in that rack, then you can short supply power to your chain.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd never heard that before, but that makes sense.
So there, you could really have some limitations depending on how much power and how the power is distributed. If it's isolated, independent power for each module, or if that power is shared, and and how that works. And that's why the more expensive 500 series rack boxes are the costs that they are, and the cheaper ones usually have less in power supply. And actually, Warren went over this a little bit in one of his videos, I think, which is where I got introduced to that idea of it.
Yeah.
And, but if you're only going to use some really low, just have a look at your 500 series modules and what their power consumption is, and take that into consideration when deciding on what box you want to get to put them in.
Interesting. So I mean, I don't have any experience, but I assume you get like a 19-inch rack mount box.
Yeah.
To put each one of these little lunchbox modules into.
And and there's an interface slot in the back, and that's standard. All 500 series fit into that same interface. So they slide in like a PC card or PCI card.
Yeah. That's kind of how I pictured it.
Yeah. And then just bolt on. So really that's basically what they are. And I kind of I wonder if it is like a PCI configuration, if it's the same
maybe
type
with
of
just knobs on the front and some LEDs.
But it'd be really neat. But the cost of getting into the 500 series box is why I haven't gotten into 500 series, and because I already have the rack and the stuff that I'm looking for. There are a few the Wes Audio stuff. Oh man, I would really love to get into the Wes Audio stuff, and their 500 series is sweet. But I've got different plans, so we'll see how this year goes.
Let's make sure, we've talked about this before, make sure that when you're looking at purchasing, purchasing to solve a problem, not just because
but they're so really good cool. Looking, man.
It's so cool, and the interview is so good, and it would look so sweet in my rack.
And all the YouTubers are, man.
Oh yes, the YouTubers. Yeah, no, I don't have any plans to. I mean, I'm running on a minimal power draw as it is. I don't have any plans to add any analog equipment beyond the guitar amps that I have in this room.
I don't know where it for me, it all began with listening to my my brother play albums on his stereo.
Sure.
When I was just not even a teenager yet, and he had lights flashing, on a graphic EQ and lights and the old receiver and the knobs and
EQ and the modular stereo.
Yeah. And then all the knobs and buttons and everything. That's, I don't know who didn't get into that. If you grew up in that time. I'm talking in the
70s.
in the 70s,
Yeah,
and
totally.
when that stuff was, I mean, stereo itself was only mainstream for less than 2 decades at that point, and
That's true.
so this stuff was just really neat. It was new, and by those days standards, it was very expensive,
Mm.
and I just fell in love with that stuff, and I think that um, nostalgia makes me love this type of hardware as
Yeah, I
well,
can totally see that.
and
I can totally
it's
see that.
it's the interaction and the feel, the and the sound, and because it takes some time, but there is a difference in the sound and the analog and digital domains, and both have their uh, their place. They're really, both domains are great places to be, but they're different. And I think just like any other tools, having tools for different purposes, makes sense. And if it feeds into, you know, your love of this stuff, then that's a bonus. But
Yeah, no, it's not a bad thing. Anything that helps you, move your passion forward, I think,
yeah, but
and enhances it.
I've got some awesome plugins, and they're on almost every track that I do, and
Yeah.
because they work great, they sound really good, or they don't sound at all, because
Right.
they're transparent, which is
Yeah.
important to me, and because I want to have that option. It's like on my compressor, I've got I can engage some transformers if I want to, and I can add that transformer saturation as needed, or I can not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with, and there's some good saturation plugins as well and I've used the heck out of those, and tape and things like that. But it doesn't reduce my desire to get a tape machine in this studio, and which is definitely a plan. I'd really like to do that.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, on a business level, I'd like to be able to accept tapes,
Oh, that makes sense.
you
That
know,
makes sense.
and I'd also like to be able to go to tape. But then the neat thing about it is that in a single pass, you can go to tape and come back in a loop, and um, in your mix down,
Yeah.
and get the tape quality, and without necessarily the intention of using the tape, which is kind of like your be using your tape
Right.
plugins,
Right.
but you'd have that option as well. But
Yeah, I like that. I've been very happy with the Slate virtual tape machine.
I bet.
I'm pretty much using that exclusively over the ones that I used to use. It's kind of like a transparent width and warmth. It's not one of those that's so obvious, but it's like one of those that's obvious when you take it off.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. And it's yeah, I like that one a lot. But yeah, it's really been an interesting journey watching your studio evolve over the last couple of years that we've been doing this, and also watching your kind of commitment to your craft kind of blossom. It's been neat.
Really?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're in it, you probably didn't notice, but I've been paying attention. Oh my God, I think I got Doug stumped for words. Is that possible?
I have an admirer.
Is that possible? He's 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 speechless.
What are you saying? And do I speak too much?
So, how's the weather there?
Yeah. I didn't realize it, but I was born to podcast.
That's yeah, I can see that.
I understand why my wife is like, can you just please be quiet?
Oh, that's
just
funny.
give me 5 minutes of quiet.
Just 5 minutes. Do you walk around the house?
I work alone, man.
Follow your wife around going, oh, honey, you got to see this ad for this compressor that I just found in the Tape Op magazine. It looks really cool. It's a 500 series, but I was thinking of getting...
But I go from topic to topic to topic that are completely unrelated. And I'm just, bouncing on the...
Like, honey, why are you walking so fast? I'm just trying to tell you this thing. Oh, that's classic. I'm picturing it now. Uh, I really like that mic mount that you have for your shotgun mic.
Oh yeah, what
It's
are they?
just so kind
It's
of stylish and cool.
uh, now I can't remember. Lyra.
Don't touch it.
I should be able to touch it and you not hear anything.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
When I touch mine, you
Like
can hear a
let
thump.
me tap my.
Is that because it's a shotgun?
No, that's because of the shock mount.
Oh, interesting.
So, and I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember.
I do not have a shock mount on my mic. It's
So
just a straight arm and mount.
yeah, not an I mean, I can't remember. Maybe like $25, $26 maybe for this mount. Maybe it was more. I can't remember, but
Mhm.
not much more than 30 if it was. Really great mount. I mean, it articulates as well as it's a really good isolation. And these individual in the what they're called escapes me. You know, it's not bands. It's a solid, flexible material.
Right.
In the way that
It's like
they're
a
designed.
spring, almost like a
Yeah.
stylized spring, but it's very clearly made for that specific type of microphone, that shotgun
Yeah, this one
microphone.
was definitely for a shotgun. They make the same type of mics, and I actually on my old Rode microphone, it came with the same type of mount configuration
Mm.
as this, in a condenser, large diaphragm condenser
Oh,
package.
okay.
So which it sits, in a cradle kind of,
Yeah.
or a nest.
Yeah, that cradle is the kind that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you would do a shock mount for this Lewitt, because the clamps right onto the bottom of it.
Now that Samson we were using actually has internal shock mounts on the built-in on the microphone capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this?
Yep. And
yeah. Yeah, this one, it's on a swivel, and it has a built-in, stand kind of that goes onto this, and so that's
it's got that
meant to go on a
kind of
boom arm,
yoke.
basically.
Yeah, and that's how I mounted it on mine. So
Yeah. And so I don't have a sturdy boom arm, so I had this sitting in front of me, and it was just picking up too much hand and room noise. So
yeah. The nice thing about coming from, because mine's mounted on the ceiling, and
right.
And so I can do all this all day long, and
Yeah, I got to be careful because I keep my mic like right here and talk over it.
I got to remember if we're on video, and I'm like thinking that people are going to know when I go, I'm doing this all day long. And
yeah, that's true.
I was waving my hands around my microphone. And
yeah, I guess I should have pointed out what I was doing there. No, I when I'm doing voiceover, I do it much better if I talk with my hands, which I don't normally do. But if I'm doing a voiceover recording, I do that, and I have to be really careful to stay in the moment, but not hit the microphone, which is right in front. I know I look like I'm conjuring.
I could see you just like taking your microphone out, with a right hook. And
yeah, it's really easy to bump it when it's weird. Yeah, I'm looking forward to.
I'd really like to talk. I'd really like to talk about soon, not in this episode, but I'd like to talk about voiceover some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe next time. And
yeah, that would be a good topic.
I just, not that I'm a voiceover, I don't really do it. I have done it, and
yeah.
But I don't consider my voice a voiceover talent voice, and but I think the whole craft of it is cool, and everything around it, and the isolation booths, and all the considerations for your room acoustics and things like that, and
right.
and soundproofing over and above acoustic treatments.
Yeah.
And how important that is in voiceover. And I know in the shredding things, there's some challenges with soundproofing.
Occasionally, yes.
And
certain times a day, I just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there's those challenges. I think listeners would be interested in hearing about that. So we should talk about it.
But for the stuff I do, it doesn't take long enough for it to be a real concern. If I was recording audiobooks or something where you're basically reading chapter after chapter, it
Yeah,
would be more of a challenge for me.
sure. So,
But
well,
yeah, that's a good future topic. Appreciate
I
that.
think it's a pretty good first episode. So
Yeah, so kicking off season 3, very exciting.
yeah, so this is episode 301. And for our listeners, that means season 3, episode 1.
Right.
And
not necessarily episode 301.
although it's
although it may feel like that.
yeah.
It may feel like you've had to sit through 300 episodes going, oh my God, these
Yeah.
guys never shut up.
And again, as I mentioned in the intro, we have a Patreon, and the video of this episode will be for members only in the Patreon, and along with early access to this episode and future episodes. Usually it looks like it'll be about 5 or 6 days advance access to the upcoming episodes, and then Matt and I be available for any Q&A or just whatever chat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, and it's super
Direct
cheap.
contact with listeners would be great.
Yep, it's super cheap. It's just designed to help us defray some expenses, and if you're interested in helping out the podcast, we would appreciate that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun year. It's gonna be a fun season.
Yeah. All right, everybody, thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you. And yeah, check out our past episodes and come back next week for another one.
All right, cheers, everybody.
Thanks. Have a great week.